Welcome to the Valareso Capital community, where we discuss the stock market and trading strategies to become a consistently profitable trader and investor.
Hey traders, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's episode, we're going to go through the market update and we're also going to take a look at the weekly watch list. I'm going to share some of the best looking setups that are on my radar right now, and I'm also going to share one setup that I executed on Friday, which is Amazon. I executed that one on Thursday. So I'm going to show you a little bit of how is my process of executing the setup, and we're going to take a look at the targets and everything. And remember guys that these videos for informational purposes only, is based just on my personal opinion and it's not financial advice. And if at any point of this video guys you find any value, please remember to subscribe to the channel. That way you are not going to miss any of the new videos. So let's start here. The market has been absolutely insane. Let me just get my drawing tools here. But the market has been incredible. Has been a really nice bullish run, the one that we're having. So let me just grab my tools here and let's take a look at one of the most talked indexes right now, which is IWM, right? So let's just take a look at what is happening here. We can see that the pattern that we continue to see in IWM is that we are getting these insane moves to the upside, right? Like the ones that we had here. And then as soon as we get these moves, right, this is going to be the third move, right? This one was the first one. This could actually be even the fourth time that we get something like this, right? You can see right here that in IWM, we got this huge move to the upside, then we got the bull flag, huge move to the upside, then we got the bull flag, huge move to the upside, then we got the bull flag. And now the question is, are we gonna get the same setup again? Are we gonna see some sort of consolidation here in IWM? And of course we don't know what is gonna happen, but for the look of this setup, it's actually looking amazing, right? You can see pretty clearly that we have this kind of a cup and a handle right here in IWM, right? We had this huge explosive move forming that right side of the cup. So any sort of consolidation here, I think is actually going to be pretty bullish for the IWM. And if we actually just take a step back and take a look at the weekly real quickly here, we take a look at the weekly chart, you can see right here that this is a perfect representation of the stages of the market, right? If we just zoom out here, we can clearly see that here we have some accumulation. Then of course we had the advance, then we had the distribution, and then we had the decline. And now the question is this accumulation? And based on the patterns that we're seeing and based on what are the actions of the Fed right now, it makes a lot of sense that this is an accumulation stage. And as soon as we get this accumulation here, then the question is, are we going to get that advance? And most likely we're going to get it. And it's pretty interesting to see that as soon as we get an advance, it's actually pretty rapidly. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 2024 we get a huge breakout here in IWM, which is going to be huge, right? Remember that we're forming a pretty amazing base on this accumulation, right? So I think that this can actually move pretty quickly and test these all-time highs at 240. So that of course is kind of a long-term view in the IWM. And remember that the purpose of these videos, guys, is just to create a roadmap for next week. So the question is, what is going to be the roadmap for next week? Most likely, since we had this huge move to the upside, most likely we're going to see a little bit of a pause. Now, why do I say that we're probably going to see a little bit of a pause? First, based on price, we are at a huge level of resistance. And then in momentum, we are also at a level of resistance. And then if we take a look at seasonality, December is pretty bullish. A lot of people talk about the Santa rally, but the Santa rally actually happens on the last week of the year. So it wouldn't surprise me if we just see a little bit of weakness next week, perhaps on Monday, Tuesday. And then we see something like this, that we come here, we close this gap, we see a little bit of chop here, but as soon as we are able to break, then perhaps we're going to see that continuation to the upside, and we're going to see that Santa rally going into the end of the year. So basically the thesis for next week is that we're going to see a little bit of chop, we're going to see a little bit of back and filling, and that is actually going to be pretty healthy. A lot of setups are looking amazing. So let me show you this chart right here. So in a bull market, what tends to happen is that we tend to see these rotations. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, money is flowing out of the mega caps and it's just going to the small caps. Yes, we are seeing a lot of that, but at the same time, the mega caps are not breaking. So that's a really healthy sign of a bull market. So let's just take a look quickly here at the ETF of the MGK, which is basically the mega cap growth ETF. So if you take a look at this chart looks amazing, right? We had this consolidation here, and then of course we had the breakout. And now the question is, are we just gonna flag here, or we're gonna see a little bit of a pullback that is probably gonna come into this anchor VWAP right here, right? If we see a little bit of a pullback into this anchor VWAP zone, right, anchor from this low right here, that's going to be an amazing level to buy, and then look for continuation to the upside also on the mega cap growth ETF. And that's basically names like Amazon, Tesla, Nvidia, AMD, all those kind of names that are actually looking pretty amazing. So the market looks awesome. Yes, we are extended, right? The SPX is also extended. Let's take a look at the SPY here. The SPY is also extended, right? We are actually at a first Fibonacci target, right? This line right here is actually the 1272 extension, measured from this high right here all the way to the low that we had on October. So it's basically just measured from here all the way to down here, and we are already at that target. So now the question is, are we going to see a little bit of a pullback? Are we probably going to test this anchor VWAP zone? And then most likely we're just going to see a continuation to the upside. I don't see any reason why the market won't continue to the upside. The setups are there. The Fed is there. So we have a really nice, the seasonality is there. So we have a really nice recipe for a continuation to the upside. So let's take a look here, guys, at I was thinking about what else can I show you. Something interesting that I mentioned on my Twitter feed is that we actually had a green day on the UBXY on Friday. So that makes me think that we're probably going to see that also reinforces the thesis that we're going to see a little bit of a pause. If we happen to see a little bit of a spike here in the UBXY, most likely just into this anchor VWAP zone, and then probably we're just going to see a continuation to the downside in volatility as the market continues to climb higher. So that will be also another sign of why do I think that we're going to see a little bit of a pause. So now let's go into the fun part and let's take a look at the setups. Let me start with Amazon. I remember that I told you that I was going to show you this. So I executed Amazon on Friday. I have been trading in and out of Amazon, basically building my position in this anchor VWAP zone that we had right here. I sold my position actually on this day, which was a pretty nice decision. And then on the next day, we actually had this huge shakeout bar, and I was able to get a fill again in Amazon at 146.30. That's basically my entry point on Amazon. And then the way that I find my targets, I always use Fibonacci. So what I do is I just do a measurement from this high right here to this low right here, because it's the most recent swing that we had. And then these are going to be my targets, right? So the first one is this 1272 extension, but I'm actually, given the base that we had, I'm looking for at least a test of the 1.618. So this one is the 1.272, sorry, and this is the 1.618 extension. So I'm looking at least for 153.28. That's going to be the first target. But given the squeeze, right, you can see that if you are a student of the squeeze, you can see that we have that compression, and usually from that compression we get these outsized moves. So what I'm looking for actually in Amazon is probably a continuation to the upside, and most likely a test of these. We have an open gap here somewhere around 157.50. That's going to be kind of the long-term target in Amazon. The setup is there. You can see that we have support in my indicator. We have the squeeze. We have the base. So this one is looking great, right? This one is looking amazing. This setup, the thing about these bases is that the way that I have found that is really easy to trade them is try to get your positions as close to those support levels. That way you don't get shaken out, because this setup will really only invalidate if we move below the anchor VWAP zone. If we happen to do that, then the setup is not valid, right? But we have a huge distance for that invalidation zone. So Amazon is going to be the first one. Is looking fantastic. And let me just move through the other names. That way we don't make this video too long. So let's take a look at Tesla here. And basically, I'm just looking at the mega caps. I'm just trying to keep things really, really simple. It's funny because I had Tesla, but I got shaken out on this day. My stop was somewhere around here. And then, of course, it happens, right? I got shaken out, and now Tesla is at my first target, and this is going to be the second target. Now, Tesla looks awesome. We have also a squeeze. You can see how beautifully my indicator has found those levels of support in Tesla, which is actually pretty amazing. And now the question is, are we going to see a little bit of a pause in Tesla? If we are lucky, perhaps that 8 exponential is probably going to act as a level of support. So be ready to grab some Tesla. This one is looking great. And then I have the other ones, right? We take a quick look at Apple. It's looking awesome. The buy zone is going to be right here in this anchor VWAP zone, that 8 exponential at least. This also has a really nice cup and handle, right? You can see that we are all-time highs right here at 198. This one is looking awesome. What other names do I have? I have Nvidia, which is looking fantastic. We have seen a lot of chop in Nvidia, but the difference between these ones, right, you can see these corrections here, is that in this correction, the 50 daily moving average actually held. So that's a huge change in character for this base formation in Nvidia. So that makes me believe that right now Nvidia is ready to continue to all-time highs. Most likely a move to 520. That's going to be amazing. The place to buy it, if we happen to get lucky, right here will be the most amazing place to get some exposure, and then look for continuation to the upside in Nvidia. Meta also looking fantastic. And there are a ton of setups, right? So right now we have so many setups that the best way to trade these is just find a couple of setups and get really, really focused on those, and try to be really good with your entries and your execution. Meta, the same thing. You can see right here that we have this downtrend line. If we happen to see a little bit of chop here, perhaps into this anchor VWAP zone, that will be the place. This one is also looking amazing. And what else can I show you? Netflix also looking great. So you get the picture, guys, right? We have a lot of setups. They're looking amazing. Be really good with your entries. Just focus on a few names, and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. So if I have to share, my favorite ones are gonna be Amazon, Tesla, Apple, Nvidia, Meta, Netflix. Those look amazing. And then of course you can take your pick, right? You don't have to trade them all. What works for me is just choosing a couple and then do my best to have good size in it, because if there's no size, there's no price. Remember that. So that's gonna be it for the video, guys. I hope that you had an amazing weekend, and I will see you in future videos. Take care and bye bye.